Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Randomania, and welcome to the Final Fantasy Randomizer Irongol competition. My name is Rock Solid. I'm going to be your co-commentator tonight here in the booth with Dead Pulse. Dead Pulse, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm feeling great. This is going to be a good match.
Yeah, we've got DVS and Caleb lined up and ready to drop the gate in 30 seconds. What are you looking for in the flag set that we're going to be looking at tonight?
Now, it would take too much time to go over everything in the flags, but one of the major things I want to point out is static XP. Now, this is going to mean that solo grinds are off the table because each Light Warrior is going to get 1/4 of the XP. So it doesn't matter how many are left alive, they're still going to get the same amount.
Yeah, static XP, this is the first time I've seen that flag used in a race. And it means that there's going to be no benefit to what's called killing off or danning any of your characters. And yeah, that's going to play into the strategy. As you can see here with the party compositions, they're going with the same choice, it looks like. Black Belt Thief, Black Mage, and Black Mage.
I believe that these were forced, and then is there a tavern recruitment going on?
Yeah, so tonight's flag set does include tavern recruitment. What that means is that we're going to see these runners actually have a little bit of choice as to which characters they go with, because they're starting with this forced party composition, but they might choose to change things up a little bit, as we see some pretty high-level gear in the first armor shop there.
Caleb, after taking a look at that black magic with no attack spells, opts to switch to a couple of white mages.
Yeah, so there's the Tavern Flag's recruitment in action, right in front of our very eyes, and sort of an unusual party composition, but once you've seen that level 1 magic, sometimes you're ready to make a decision like that. We are dealing with Spellcrafter as well. This is another flag that completely changes the way the game is played by introducing some new spells into the mix.
Yeah, taking a look at that Meteor 8, that is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, so Meteor 8, I think it's going to be an Earth-based AoE spell. Wow, 558 damage. That's doing a lot.
Yeah, I can definitely see changing to 2 white mages on that. Davis opts not to. He's still going to go up and get a little bit of experience, maybe take on Garland.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see if people do a Corneria grind here at the very beginning. Sometimes you're going to do that when resources are a little tight and you don't have a save item right from the jump. Also, you'll notice here, buying a Cure 7 staff for 2 gold. That's one of the other properties of this flag set, where just about every weapon and armor you see is going to be able to cast some kind of magic, and in some cases, pretty powerful magic paired up with the weakest wooden staff in the game.
Normally, you only see Cure 7 staffs on sale for 2 gold on Black Friday deals.
Oh man, where can I get some of those?
And this Blursing, it's more on the cursed side. You're going to see armor down to -9, and I believe it goes up to 1.
Yeah, I'll double check that for you. Let's
4,
see here.
I apologize.
Yeah, okay, so we've got -9 to -4. Sorry, to +4. So more on the negative side for sure. But speaking about Blursing, we also have Blurs classes, don't we? And I don't think we've seen what those bonuses and malices are, but we're looking at 4 bonuses and 4 malices per class. So it's a lot of information to try and keep in your head. As DVS switches over to some white mages as well.
It looks like Davis thought for a second, maybe I take a 3rd white mage.
Yeah, well, with spells like that, the best life and the best damaging spell that you could possibly ask for, it's worth thinking about. Of course, with that Thief, you are still going to get that run bonus, assuming that the malices have not taken that away, as for all we know, they may have done.
Caleb makes pretty quick work of Garland.
Yeah, that Meteor 8's gonna do it, but we see a shuffled Astos into the King as the King rips off his face mask and was Astos all along.
Astos was not prepared for meteors.
No, now, and this is interesting. The prince is handing over the ship. So with this flag set, there's a lot of locations to check, and you're pretty happy when you see mobility that early. Of course, we are still at this moment prisoners of the inner sea, and I don't believe we've seen a canoe yet. So Bicky is going to have to be holding some kind of mobility item, I think.
Plus, it looks like we have 3 loose items on the docket today.
3 loose or 3 duds? I think we have more locations than we have items, so it should be 3 duds, if I'm not mistaken.
1, yes, that is correct.
So some of the locations may yield a paltry 248 gold instead of that progression that you're looking for. But it can't happen in a situation where you need progression to advance, which we could be looking at, but then again, maybe not, because, well, actually, yes, it's going to have to be Bicky. We don't have the ability to access the Marsh Cave yet.
Caleb taking a look at that red mage. As soon as he sees that -4 max MP, he nopes out of it. They only get 5 to begin with, so they just have 1.
1 charge per level? Yeah, I think we're going to take a pass on that one, too. Good call, Caleb. Caleb making use of one of the new features of the randomizer. You can actually press select on spells or gear to see exactly what they do. Can be very helpful in a situation like Spellcrafter, where you might not know by heart exactly all the values of everything that's going on.
Yeah, that C shop info, that is the best invention since sliced bread, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I mean, shoutouts to the awesome Final Fantasy randomizer devs, still active on a game that's almost as old as I am, making it better all the time. I can't go back to playing the original game after playing randomizer. I just can't do it.
Now, one other thing that I saw is that all of the enemies, sans the bosses, are going to have locked HP between 180 and 190%.
Yeah, they do, but the meteorite should make short work of them. Just want to give a shout outs in chat to Mystic Lugia. We've got the creator of the flag set here. We're all on tenterhooks waiting to see what these 2 very talented runners make of something that would make me give up as soon as I saw the flags.
Well, both Caleb and DVS were looking forward to this match, and I think it's going to be a good one. We're only just getting started.
For sure. We see the key, actually, incentive item in Provoca. And Bicky did have progression with the canal. As we see Caleb doing a pop grind. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, it looks like he's about 4K short of getting that key. Shouldn't have splurged on those Cure 7 stabs, I guess.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's the little things that break the bank, isn't it, Dead Pulse?
Spells on Davis's side. Rub 6. I mean, that wouldn't be too bad for if I didn't take out Garland yet.
Yeah, Rub limited utility. If I'm going to take a wild guess and say that Rub 6 would change its effect to be AoE, making it slightly better, but it's still going to be a poor man's zap, not with much effectiveness against the things you really needed to work on.
Yeah, that Brack 5 was looking mighty tasty.
Oh, yeah. As Reese Wolf, our tracker for tonight, points out in chat, Brack is an excellent spell in this game. It's so effective against the first encounters with Tiamat and Kraken that you get it for that reason alone. You can get through those encounters sometimes in the first or second round instead of waiting until round 3 or 4. Just utility against a lot of hard bosses.
And the gold scaling is not very high. You see that those 3 gators only netted about 900-ish gold.
Quite right, Dead Pulse, and that's actually another characteristic of this flag set is that both the gold and the EXP is very low at 1.9 times. Combined with a high overworld encounter rate, there's a good reason to have that thief, because most of the fights that you're going to see these runners take are ones that they don't want to take, and they're going to be looking for grind tiles, I guess, like these gators, in order to get what they need.
So how does the Randomizer work with its vanilla trap tiles? So is it just going to replace all of the vanilla trap tiles with possibly a different type?
You know, you've got me there, Dead Pulse. I believe that the Randomizer in this case, all it's going to do is shuffle the formations of overworld encounters. I don't think that applies to the trap tiles, which have been left vanilla, if I'm reading these flags correctly. So I think what that means is that you could go to the eye tile and it's going to be the eye every time. I don't think the Randomizer is going to affect that, but I'm sure chat will be correcting me as I say that. Reese saying that he believes that it includes trap tiles, but he hasn't tested it, so I guess we'll find out pretty soon.
I hope the check went out soon so we can settle this debate.
Hey, look, I'm just happy that we've stumped Reese Wolf. This is the first time I've seen him confessing to a shortage of information. This is somebody who knows a lot about the game, so we appreciate having him along for tracking.
Let's see what Caleb picks up. Ooh, a Cure 7 staff. I don't already have 2 of these.
Hey, that's a cool 1G if you go sell that in the shop.
And a Ruse 3 staff. I like that.
Yeah, of course, Ruse 3 looks good, but that number 3 with Spellcrafter might not be as good as what we might be thinking from the vanilla game, with 3 being more powerful. I think with Spellcrafter it's going to be a little bit weaker.
Well, you know what they say, any evasion is good evasion.
I think they do say that. I think that's posted on a little picture frame outside of Kraken 2's lair.
Is that next to the sign that says, please don't brack here?
Yeah, and then the other one that says, here we back row white mages.
Davis picking up his key. Grabbing some save item. Caleb picking up the tail from the Sleeping Prince.
Yeah, limited utility, I think, with that tail. We've already got some very high-level life and damaging spells for our wizards, and we're not going to want to be promoting that black belt until it's already got a fair bit of MDF to begin with. So a bit of a womp womp, but any progression is progression. You can check it off the box and keep moving.
Caleb being rewarded for checking that weapon shop. That was a fast 8 hammer? Or is that something he had in his inventory?
I think we saw that already, so maybe it was in the inventory. But either way, you got a fast hammer, you're laughing.
Now, on the converse side, it's entirely possible that we could see ribbons in shops. At that point, if you're locked out of something really good with the white mages, do you go, maybe I promote a little early?
Yeah, well, that's an excellent point, Dead Pulse. And actually, in chat, we've got Zero Cool and Mystic Lugia weighing in with some important knowledge. In this particular flag set, the magic def for the Master is better, or at least it's upgraded. So that combined with what you said about gear being potentially iffy means that the tail looks a little bit... Well, you're happy that you have the choice anyway.
Yeah, it looks like I do want to promote pretty quickly. It's so fun with these flags. I mean, we're learning as we go along. I've read through these flags several times, and there are still things that I keep forgetting on it.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I appreciate being a commentator and getting to watch these experienced runners do what they do. As Caleb starts to head towards his favorite place, which is the Marsh Cave.
Didn't know there were sharks in the Marsh Cave.
Yeah, they're flopping around down there. That'll be the Randomizer, of course, shuffling the formations around a little bit for us. Hasn't seemed to have had as much of an impact as I would have thought as we see arachnids. I think we do come across them, or at least spiders, but in a different formation. Now, images are a bit of a higher level monster for this location.
And those arachnids just don't want to leave Caleb alone.
No, but Caleb is making it past them into the local tigers, heading down to the first trap tile that we're going to see. So this will help to answer that question we had from earlier, which is Randomizer formations going to affect the trap tiles? My money's on no, but we're about to find out. Now, chat calling out that there are 2 incentives in Marsh. That is true. However, one of them is normally key locked, and I don't believe we have the key. Oh, I do see what we do.
That up.
So that means 2 chests, just like they're saying. Fortunately, that's a nice thing to have when you're coming to Marsh for the first time, because it's a pretty quick check if you've got the key already. And we see that Randomizer does affect the trap tiles.
Trolls guarding this chest. It better be something good.
Hey, they're not really trolls unless they've got something nasty, and I think we got through that one pretty okay as we pick up the adamant, which will be nice for Dwarf Cave nearby.
And Davis right on his heels, maybe 10 seconds behind him in routing.
Yeah, that's going to happen when you've got 2 really strong runners running a seed that doesn't open up very quickly. Pretty soon we're going to see some divergence, I think. But without the canoe, there's still a limited number of locations that can be checked early game.
Looks like Caleb still has about 4 meteor charges, so he should be good to finish this out.
Yep, and the fetch quest continues with a crystal. So, yeah, Seed is holding back on that canoe. It doesn't have to give it to us for a while because, well, Crescent is still in logic. And if any of these things leads to the ruby, then that's going to put Titans and Sarda in logic. So the canoe could be hiding in a few different places, but we're starting to close in on it, I'm sure.
I like being able to get rid of all of my inner sea fetch quests in the same route, so I don't have to keep coming back.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also feel that way. Though you have to think that it might technically be faster if you get that airship and you can travel across the overworld in more of a straight line. But I don't know in terms of like how much time that actually saves you compared to the mental real estate that you get to save by just knowing that it's all cleared.
You know, I think it is the mental real estate. Just the, oh, you know what, this is done. I feel like I accomplished something.
Oh yeah, no, 100% I'm with you there. I'm here with my paper tracker normally, and even then I'm getting mixed up and taking long ways around to things. Caleb's going to give us a little look at the crystal first instead of adamant. I guess it's just coin toss as to which one you go to, or then again, this makes sense because you can go through the canal to the sages if neither one pans out.
Yeah, and his hope would be that you're going to see the TNT at Matoya, so you can have a nice little route.
Yeah, good point. Unfortunately, doesn't get what he's looking for. He picks up a rod instead, and that's going to put early Earth more on the table. I actually kind of like that because you know that you could go in there for an incentive anyways, and now that you got the rod, you might as well finish it while you're at it.
And I also heard Lich is allergic to meteors.
Well, if they're Earth-based, that should hold up. Lich, of course, being quakeable, suggests that it doesn't do well against the Earth-based attacks.
You see, my biggest question, he's about to go in without the TNT into Dwarf Cave. Do you think he's going to stop by and check out what's in the 7 chests down in the locked area, or he's just going to move on and wait until he has the TNT to do that?
I think he doesn't. He's got a black belt and a thief which runs, and 2 white mages which can wear gold bracelets and pro rings later. Gear is not really the priority. The only reason he might is if he wants money for spells. Giving us a few rounds of the Hooray Dwarf before going on and continuing the fetch quest. Looks like Caleb is going to give us a peek at those Narok chests down below.
I kind of like this because item magic is on. You don't know what you're going to get in here. Any chest could be a game changer.
Yeah, you're making good sense. And in fact, I just picked up some good money in the form of some dragon armor. Everything else is pretty much a write-off. That mute hammer is not going to be doing too much for us this seed.
And then we get to turn in the crown, which will probably turn into the TNT.
Yeah, at the rate this is going, we have to wind up with the canoe and the floater, or the canal. And based on the number of locations that we have left, I think it's going to have to be the canal, and it's going to have to come from vanilla TNT.
Going to look over the notes. I think we got the canal from Bicky.
Okay, so that does open things up a little bit more then.
But why leave the Inner Sea when you've got perfectly good fetch quests to keep doing?
Yeah, that seems to be the logic that both of these runners are going with, you know, and it's like you were saying before with that mental real estate. Plus, with the Inner Sea, you're not really saving that much time getting the airship because you can just use the ship, which is almost as fast.
See, I love watching both of these runners. You just see how methodical they are, just going forward, checking off all the boxes.
Oh, we saw our first dud.
Well, a pure, I mean, you know, that'll get some use, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Another dragon armor is probably nicer in terms of just the raw money that's going to give you for caster items, as we find a badman tile, but just one of them.
Normally, they like to hang out in gangs, but apparently this one's going solo.
Yeah, he's the really bad man. He's so bad that he doesn't even associate with the other bad men. DVS showing us that great minds think alike, doing the same checks and getting rewarded with the dragon armor and the pro cape, actually, some extra armor for those white mages.
All right, so Caleb's going to make his way back, exit the inner sea. I think he's going to go Earth.
Yeah, I would, well, yes, because you could get a lot. You could get canoe. You could get the ruby would be huge to get an Earth because then you're opening up 2 more spots. You can full clear it. You've got level 9 plus. You've got good spells. No reason not to go through there and get that thing off. Plus, as Mystic Lugia pointed out a moment ago in chat, they're going to get plus. He's saying 50% for experience per awakened orb. So that's a lot of extra XP for each orb that's lit up.
Yeah, I'll take those fiend fights as soon as I can get them.
DVS poking through Melman to see what is for sale. Not finding much in the weapon shop. Looks like he's going to be going to sell some of that armor, perhaps, and turn it in for cash at the armor shop.
If that was Ice 8 I saw in Black Magic, that's pretty good. Too bad that nobody has anyone that can cast it.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we've already got that meteor spell, so we don't really need it, especially at a lower level. Lots of charges, Earth being something that very little is resistant against. You'd like to have it, but it's I'd say it's a luxury at this point.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That meteor is going to be putting in work from, minute 1 all the way to the end game.
Yeah, and for the end game, we know that we've got fast via caster items, and I believe we saw that as a spell for sale as well. I'm not sure if we've seen Temper or Saber yet, though. That would be nice to have.
Yeah, especially with, I don't know how high they're going to be able to take this black belt. They might be able to get to 32, but I think the grind would be too arduous to go any higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, if you find the right grind, you've got orbs lit, it can be done. But then you've got to keep in mind that if you're DVS, you're racing against Caleb. If you're Caleb, you're racing against DVS. You got to go fast.
DVS not wasting any time, making a beeline for the vampire to see what's behind that incentive chest.
Getting an incredible hero run here.
Opal -8.
Still sells for as much.
And the vampire finally goes down, revealing the canoe.
Yeah, we knew we were going to have to get the canoe pretty much here or at Crescent at this point. So with that out of the way, Crescent could be any number of things, because now that we've got the canoe, we can go to Ordeals, we can go to Volcano, we can go to Ice. This flag set has so many different locations that there's a lot on the table now with the canoe out of the way.
And this is where I think we're going to see that route diversions that you've been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time for that, right? So far, the runners have been tracing each other's steps and only steps apart. So this will make things a little bit more interesting. If it's you, Dead Pulse, are you the type that likes an early Ordeals? Do you like the cheeky pop up to Ice, or are you more of a fan of the let's go to Volcano, maybe check Armory while we're there?
Right now, I would be relatively comfortable with the gear that I have. I think that I would go over to Crescent Lake, check out what that is, but then I'd go down to Ordeals.
Okay, Crescent first, then Ordeals. Interesting approach. Of course, we could, after that, go over to Waterfall, but then you're always running the risk that you don't have Oxyale and you have to end up taking the ship of shame back to the northern continent. Southern continent.
When I'm driving the boat, everywhere is up.
You know, it sounds like you're joking, but I was just playing earlier today, and it really seems like if you want to go north, you should sail south, and if you want to go south, you should sail north. It's just the way the map's laid out. It ends up working out better for you that way.
We're going to have dueling lich battles coming up.
I'll get your banjos out and get your cakes ready.
And that was pretty short work of lich. I was hoping we were going to a little less anticlimactic.
Yeah, well, speed bump doing speed bump things. Phil Collins pointing out the strategy that they would use is to do the Crescent and then a Volcano. Reason being that you get EXP boost from the orb and also some grind tile checks. So, and not a bad play. Sound reasoning there.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'd feel a little more comfortable going in there if I had that Ice 8.
Yep, that's true. We're just about to see what Caleb does as he finds iguanas on the open sea. That's an interesting one. I don't think I've seen that before.
They're just hanging out. Yeah, the armor shop had a bunch of diddly squat. It's that Temper 7. That's pretty nice. At 40k, still worth it.
Yeah, it's expensive, but we already have the vendor item, and we've already got most of the other magic that we really need. So, I mean, yeah, Temper 7 plus 2, hard to argue with that.
Was that Cure 7 for 6,500?
I'm not sure. A lot of, with the Spellcrafter, it always takes me an extra moment to process what I'm seeing. Like I see Life 4, and I think, wow, that looks great. But then I think, wait, is it? Or is that not very good at all?
I don't think this shop got the memo. You can buy them for 2 gold over at Canaria, so... Maybe it's an import-export thing. I don't know.
I was just about to say, it's a crazy world with all these tariffs and protectionism that's going on, and it seems like that's just the regime in Crescent Lake.
Well, DVS getting the news that the good Northwest King only had a pure and is hot on Caleb's heels once again.
Yeah, and Caleb with a little bit deeper into Crescent. I mean, only a few steps ahead of DVS, I would say, in the lead. But at this point, it's going to come down to routing choices, and we're seeing now that Caleb is going probably to Volcano. From here, you could go to Ice, but if he was going to do that, he might have used his ship. So I think we're seeing him go to Volcano. DVS yet to make a decision.
Well, DVS is the professor. He's got to be thinking right now the entire time. Where can I go? Where's Caleb going to go?
Yeah, now you really put your finger on it there, Dead Pulse. The metagame is large in this type of situation. What you're thinking about, you're comparing what you think your skill level is against what you think your opponent's skill level is. You're trying to guess what they might do and what might give you an advantage. But it looks to me like they're both making the same decision and going to Volcano, as DVS takes I'm going to say that's a lead change.
This leads me to believe that going to Volcano is the correct play.
Yeah, well, both runners deciding to do it, and all of the great reasons that Phil Collins dropped in chat makes me feel pretty comfortable with that. As DVS checks the first tile, unfortunately, just a couple of hounds, nothing too special here.
1,000 XP, that's not terrible for what we've seen.
Yeah, good point. They are both at level 9, as DVS grabs 2 levels off the back of those Cerberuses. Mystic Lugia pointing in chat that Caleb is getting bulleted with encounters tile after tile. This may come down to a strategic difference or a philosophical difference between Caleb and DVS. Caleb does not like to hard reset. He's a fan of soft resetting and staying with the encounter table all the way through. The disadvantage is that you can get, well, you're basically guaranteeing yourself that you're going to get those nasty groups of encounters. The advantage is that you can end up in a situation, especially in a race with multiple opponents, where you're not getting trolled by the same thing that everybody else is. So it's a conscious decision, and we'll see how it plays out for Caleb.
Davis finding a 4-pack of unrunnable bulls.
Yeah, that's a load of bull.
And Caleb finding a Irongol that punches Maya down. But man, Davis is just working his way through Volcano like I've never seen.
Yep, and we're going to get a look at a new encounter tile here after this first one. We've already seen the Muxinoozes, but we don't know what's in front of the chest, and then we'll get the item itself. It's the floater. Volcano looking real good right about now.
So remember when I said, you asked me where I would go, and I said unequivocally Volcano was my choice, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's exactly the way that I remember it then.
No need to fact check that, anyone.
Definitely not. So I know that I've been saying this for about half of this race, but now we're going to see the divergence because they're both going to go over and get their airship. But then you've got the whole world open to you. Are we going to promote? We've got the tail. Are we going to see some kind of weird waterfall check? Well, I guess it doesn't really change too much in terms of your routing. It doesn't really open up that much that we didn't already have access to other than Sky.
If I had to guess, I would say still get the floater, go to Ice Cave, and then from there, go up and promote, and that allows you to go to Ordeals.
Yep. Also, too, we do have the slab. I don't think it's been translated yet, although we were in Melman, so that may have happened. I didn't catch that.
And don't forget the quick stop over at Sarda.
Yes, of course. That's always that's so automatic. That's so automatic that I didn't even mention it, Deadpool. So I mean, that's why I didn't say anything, right? So no, of course, anytime you get the airship, you can pop over to Sarda for free, and it's almost always a good idea to do that because, well, it's right there.
And Caleb moonwalking his way past Carrie after Carrie actually muted one of his eggs. That's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that much respect for Carry 1, but yeah, throwing a mute on one of your only casters, that could slow you down a bit. And our tracker Reese Wolf pointing out that because they got slab just now in Crescent, it hasn't been translated yet. course, that doesn't take long to do once you have the airship, but good to know. And that's the type of mistake that I might make, is just heading straight up there thinking that I've already translated it and getting looped. I don't think we'll see that with Caleb or DVS, but you never know.
Well, we've all done it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that and the sky bonk, where you show up and you don't have a chime and you're trying to force your way into the tower. That's done that maybe more than once.
I just sit there for a second scratching my head. Wait, what did I just forget?
So DVS taking a page out of your book, Dead Pulse, and going straight up to Ice Cave. Caleb,
He's promoting.
Promoting, yes, that's what Caleb is doing.
Not a bad play, just because we were talking about that +3 and +4. So you get 1 extra magic defense for that black belt per level. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's where maybe DVS doesn't remember that or didn't pick up on that, or maybe just thinking about something entirely different, and I'm talking hot air. But one reason when you would come to Ice Cave really early on in a different flank set is because you might be looking for that grind and to grind up your black belt as much as you can on the eye. But yeah, I mean, DVS is probably not making that mistake. It's probably something else entirely.
What I'm assuming is he's doing a zone defense, if you will, where he just wants to get everything in the same area done, so he doesn't have to come back to Crescent Lake area.
Yeah, continuing with your mental real estate play. I like it, Dead Pulse. Makes sense to me.
And honestly, we haven't seen anything too nasty in this Ice Cave dive.
No, I mean the seafood party pack can be troublesome, but with the high level magic that they've got, certainly not game breaking.
God, that single air just seems to have so much life.
Yeah, the airs and the waters and the sea snakes, there's a couple of those monsters that look small in the battlefield, but roll high on HP and can sometimes take a long time to damage down.
And Caleb finding a pair of red Ankleos that are unrunnable, hard-hitting, just terrible to run into.
Yeah, and in a race this close, even a silly little trash encounter like that can make a difference. DVS about to give us a look at the ice tile and also the ice incentive.
I like a nice solo red dragon.
Yeah, I wonder, I mean, is that a grind? I feel like it might not be high enough XP, and it does seem to have a lot of HP as well.
Davis finding the ruby hidden away in Ice Cave.
Yeah, and talk about just having, Galaxy Brain level prediction skills. The one thing that you could hope for if you were going to skip checking Sarda and go straight to Ice Cave would be the ruby, so that when you go to Sarda, you can also do the Titan's Drove incentive. And here it is in ice.
Not only that, you're turning the slab. That is 3 stops all in one.
Now DVS, does have the bottle. Actually, that's another one that I didn't even see on the tracker. So can check another box here in Gaia.
He finds Exit, which is a great spell, but it's White Wizard locked.
Yeah, of course we know Davis can promote and come back for that. probably won't, if that's the only reason to come back here. I have to think.
Rouge 7, that's pretty nice, I guess.
Yeah, and again with the really weird low cost, high usage items, you know, $151 for a Rouge 7 staff. It's a bargain any way you slice it.
Well, I know that price overflow was on, so it's possible that it hit max and then rolled over the same way as the Cure 7 staff.
Absolutely correct. That is another flag that is set in this particular flag set. Just as you say, it's possible for something to be too expensive and then to wrap around towards the bottom, which only makes sense in old games like this.
Davis rewarded with the chime from the fairy.
Yeah, and if it's me, I go straight to Sky, except that we don't have the cube, so yeah, maybe not. I really love that early Sky play. I don't know why, but I feel like it always pays dividends.
So we'll have to check, but it looks like Davis is going to the same Caleb parking spot, so we have to see if there might have been a gentleman's agreement before this match.
I think there may have been. There were a few. There were a few that I am aware of, and a few more that I'm not. So that could be one of the ones. Because as you know, that's not the best parking spot for the airship if you're planning to go to Ordeals. You want to go east of that little desert that's nearby.
And look at this, Caleb finds the cube, which Davis is going straight for. So we might get that next Sky play that you were hyping up.
Yeah, I hope so. Reese pointing out in chat that we do have vanilla Ordeals pillars. So if it looks like DVS and Caleb are just magic in terms of being able to whip through here, well, they are good, but it's not that. It's that they're kind of going into their already knowing which pillar they need to take, which if you're newer to Final Fantasy, it's actually pretty easy to remember. All you have to do is go with the lowest pillar on the screen that you have access to. So if there's two of them, and one of them is positioned slightly lower on the screen, you go with the lower one, just follow that all the way through, and you're good to go.
That is some sage advice, and I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, I've actually played vanilla a fair bit before ever knowing what a randomizer was. So that's kind of my entry point into this game. I think I said it earlier, I can't go back to that now. Randomizer is just so much better. It's got all the fixes, all the little annoying things in the original game, just magically gone away. It's great. Davis making a mistake on the pillars.
You know, he might not have read that they were vanilla. I mean, it's not something that you usually check.
No, you're right. I'm thinking it was just a quick gaffe, though, and you can see he's picking the right ones now.
So where do you think Caleb goes after he's done with his scenic tour?
Well, he doesn't have the chime yet, does he? So he's not going to Sky. We can do Waterfall Cave, but we don't have Oxy, so that's a bit of a risk.
He could big brain this, go over to Gaia, get the chime, and be set for a skydive.
I think that's what he's going to do, because if you've got the bottle, you know that you're going to get an item. So that's likely what's going to happen. We're going to see him get his chime and go straight to Sky, which is nearby.
It looks like the scenic route provided some much-needed XP for Caleb. Looks like his team's around level 17 now.
Yeah, for this party composition, you're going to want, well, let's see. Because he's got fast and temper at low levels, he actually doesn't need a lot more levels on his mages, except for HP reasons. And even then, he's close to 400. So I think that the main thing is going to be finding a grind that's suitable for the black belt. I think that's the main thing you're looking for if you're thinking about levels.
A red Anglio and a wizard vampire. That is not two things I like to see together.
Yeah, defense and offense all in one nasty little package.
Caleb getting the good news that he can get exit.
Yeah, and Caleb actually is promoted.
Yeah, chat, those Wizard Vamps casting fast 8. I do not want to see those fasted red Anglios. They already hit like a truck. They don't need to hit twice as much.
Yeah, power has limits. Caleb taking some time, doing some shopping. Selling the temper? No, I guess just rechecking what he had in his inventory there. How about Invis 1 at level 8, Dead Pulse? Is that calling your name?
If there was going to be an Invis 1, it might as well be at level 8.
Good point. You don't want it anyways, so why not have it take up a slot?
Yeah, kill 8 being level 8. That's... I don't even have a word to describe that.
Yeah. Caleb picks up his chime, so we're going to see if he's knocking on the door of Sky, Sky, Sky. Oh. He's about to go to translate a slab, and I don't believe, or turn in the slab, and I don't believe he's translated it yet. Unless the only reason here is to check overworld grind encounters.
But DVS picking up the cube, so we might see the route divergence re-synchronize into a skydive for the third orb.
Yeah, that does seem to be the play. Caleb here, though, burning up some time, headed towards the Lupa Lupa land as we're getting our Lupas out in chat.
It doesn't help, those ghosts are making me sleepy.
Yeah, I am not a fan of ghosts in any situation, and when they cast sleep, that's even worse.
And look at this formation, a wizard mummy, a great shark, and some sort of cat-like creature.
Yeah, that is quite a combination. We've got an ocean dweller, an undead wanderer, and a half man, half beast. I don't think anybody could have come up with a more chimeric grouping than that.
Yeah, that great shark didn't care when you started casting meteors on him, but as soon as you hit him with lightning, went down.
Oh, and Caleb getting the news, heading back to the airship in shame. Happens to the best of us, as we have just seen.
This must be one of those gentlemen's agreement. He went and danced in the city square.
I'm sure you're right. It has to be that. Caleb's not making that mistake. Not after all the races he's run.
And it was rewarded with 1,500 gold for its troubles.
Yep, so that's our second dud item, if I'm not mistaken. Checking the tracker now just to see if Reese is ahead of me. So yeah, no, they have to be at a few different locations, and seems like it. I mean, it's always harsh when it's the slab that turns into nothing, because that's such a long check.
Davis wasting no time, already almost up to sky levels.
Yeah, so Caleb and Ice now. We have already seen this. We know it's the ruby.
No, on the plus side, Caleb has warp and exit, so this trip is going to be a breeze.
Yeah, I feel like it's already been a lot faster. So that's going to shave off a little bit of that lost time from the Lupa check. And DVS, though, already in Sky. So we're about to see another item check at the incentive up top here in Sky.
You know, if this were Oxale, that would just make my day.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen it yet, so it could be. Unfortunately, it's our third dud.
I was hoping the duds were going to be something good and not just a small pile of gold.
Yeah, a dud Mazza or something like that, right? So what does that leave? I don't think we've seen the waterfall yet.
Yeah, so we've got waterfall. Let's take a look at these delicious flags.
Oh, Caleb checking Titans. I believe this is the first time we've seen this. So this could be our Oxy. Ribbon. Okay, well, you're never sad to see a ribbon.
You know, at least it wasn't a pure potion.
Yeah, Mystic Lugia pointing out a Waterfall, Mermaid, Sarda, and Ruby. But we just saw the Ruby. Mermaids we can't get to without Oxy. And Sarda... Really? Have neither of them checked Sarda? That's interesting. I remember saying that DVS skipped it to go to Ice. So, yeah, that could still be on the table.
Now approaching the 1 hour mark is as good a time as any to remind everyone that Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, we have the Duckling Boot Camp that are hosted by some venerated members of the community. Learn how to play this game, maybe not these seeds specifically right away, but something similar. So go ahead and join our Discord. Take a look Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern. If that's too late for you, they'll be on YouTube the day after.
Yeah, as a duckling, I can say that the duckling seeds are a lot of fun, and they really help you learn the game because each one has a theme. You get to see somebody run through it and explain it to you on the reveal stream, and then you can take a shot at it yourself on your own time. So, you know, everybody's running that throughout the week and posting their times and chatting about the fun stuff they ran into. And it's kind of just a really supportive environment to get your feet wet playing this game. it's developing a lot of fantastic runners, and there's a huge crop of people coming in. It seems like every week there's a few more popping in and getting at it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, now is the best time to take a look because we have the Duckling Derby coming up mid-January.
Yes, we do, and I'll be running that. Deadpool, will you be in it as well?
I have already signed up and ordered my T-shirt.
Good man, good man. Mystic Lugia pointing on the chat, Sky Temple does have a real maze. That one is not fun. So you're about to see what that is if you've never seen that seed before. It's a bit of a doozy.
The last time I ran a seed with a Sky Maze, I swear 5 minutes I was lost in it.
Yeah, and the uninitiated are saying right now, what are you talking about? You just got to go in any direction 2 times and then pick another direction and go in that direction 2 times. Not so. This is Rando. It gets more complicated. Trust me. DVS checking greater than less than. I wonder why. If Caleb does it too, we're probably looking at a gentleman's agreement situation.
Now at this point, we're at 1 hour in, and with all the things that we've seen, the Fast 8 Hammer, the Temper 7 staff, or whatever that was, you've got Meteor at level 1. What else are you looking for to put all the pieces together?
Yeah, I couldn't really say, but Caleb did bypass it, so I guess there is something that DVS wants. So it'd be interesting to ask that. If we get him in afterwards, we can check about that.
Caleb's getting the good news that another 512 gold is in his pocket.
Yeah, now I must have counted wrong because to my count, that's 4 loose. 4 duds. And we have 24 versus 21. So I must have counted there.
Well, if I remember correctly, we had the Sleepy Prince with the Pure Potion. And then we had Sky giving that 512 gold, and then we had LaFane giving the 1500 gold. I think those are the only 3.
Yeah, I thought there was one more, but I can't recall where, so you must have it correct.
We did see the ribbon, and that is an incentive item.
True.
Peds and Gurpeds. Davis says delicious.
Yeah. Mystic Lugia asking, oh yes, and Reese Wolf, our tracker, pointing out that wall was level 4. Thank you, Reese. Level 4 black magic.
I forgot to mention that they also have the ability to get the Ruse 7 item up from Gaia. I think that's the last thing that I would be looking for.
Well, yeah, and see, that's why, earlier when you asked what else could Davis be looking for, my first thought was, well, in Vanilla Flag's defense sword. But Ruse 7 staff, that's the same thing. It's even better. It's AoE. So I don't know why, and I'm pretty sure that they've both been up to Gaia, so they both know that's there.
Well, it was expensive. It's entirely possible. You need to get, if you want to get 4 of them, that's, 160,000 gold.
Sure, but 4 is overkill. I mean, even if you had 3, again, my spellcrafter's not the best, but I think that's max evasion once you cast 3 of those on everybody.
We'll have to take a look. I was under the impression that Ruse, no matter what level it was always self-cast, and Invis can go into multicast.
Could be right. Could very well be right.
And let's see how long it takes Caleb to get through this maze. As Davis finds a pair of Tyros, he is just finding some delicious XP.
Yeah, is that even possible without Randomizer? I think you only ever see one stake at a time.
Yeah, you're correct. This isn't Jurassic Park 2, Davis. Settle down.
Love the reference. Love it. Got to rename one of these Light Warriors Muldoon after taking them T-Rexes out.
Finds another pair of them. And Caleb finds his way out about 6 minutes faster than I would have.
Yeah, well, he's been playing about an hour and 4 minutes longer than I would have, so we'll give him that, as he makes his way past another strange encounter with Wizfam Sanctulos and company.
See, every time I look at a flag set, I go, all right, how long do I think it's going to take me, and how long is it going to take somebody who's really good? And when I looked at these flags, I was thinking maybe I could push, an hour 45 to get this done. And both Caleb and Davis look like they're going to finish it, hour 30 maybe.
Yeah, they both are still looking for the loot. And with 2 orbs left to light, I'm going to say that's 7 plus 7 plus 7, that's 21. So 21, and here I am doing math on Twitch. Anyways, yeah, somewhere between about half an hour is probably about right, assuming they make a beeline straight towards wherever that loot is.
Well, the next place to go would probably be Waterfall. Hopefully that gets to your Oxio, because I don't know where else it could be.
Yeah, or TNT to Oxio, which is essentially the same thing. That will get you into the bottom where loot is guaranteed to be at Sea Shrine.
Oh my goodness, Warmech first turn nuclear. That's gonna sting.
Oh, and Reese pointing out that we still have not seen the Sarda check, so Sarda could have Oxio, but if he did, then, well, yes, I suppose, then TNT could lead to loot. So it could still work out that way.
Caleb making some adjustments after his thief just gets bombarded for 500 damage, killing him instantly.
Yeah, if I'm Caleb, I'm actually not too... well, I like the idea that the experience might go towards my black belt, but then again, we're running the flags that don't split the experience, so there's no advantage in having a light warrior down.
And Warmech missing, that's gotta feel good.
Yeah, black belt decides to punch hard, and fight is over.
That was a pretty nerve-wracking Warmech, if I've seen anything.
Yeah, well, if we're being real honest, is there really any other kind of Warmech as Caleb starts the anticlimactic fight against Tiamat?
Whipping out some Brack strats.
Yep, and a Cry Staff, whatever that is. I guess it must be Poison Elemental if he's trying it against Tiamat.
I believe Cry is an ice elemental stoning, if that's correct.
Like cryogenic. Okay, makes sense.
More Jurassic Park references.
Yeah, this is this Final Fantasy or Jurassic Park? We've got dinosaurs and freezings, and next up you're going to see a mosquito frozen in amber.
And after all that, Caleb makes the adjustment, just punches Tiamat down, lighting his third orb.
Yeah, and when you get to this point, you've got a high-level master, you've got fast, you've got temper. You know that that's always going to be happening. The scaling does not roll them very high on HP, so it's just going to be a matter of 3 or 4 turns and the most just to damage it down. I mean, if you get a Brack off early, as we see Caleb, for sure, going for some kind of meme strats here. I've never even been up here. I don't know what they're going to find.
Yeah, there's a cute little forest.
I feel like I'm out in nature right now, like just going for a little walk, you know?
Well, he didn't learn to stay out of the tall grass because there's red giants there.
Yeah, who even knows what's in this encounter zone? It's hilarious. You can play the game so many times and still find something new.
And one thing of interest, you take a look at Davis. He switched out his thief for a fighter.
Interesting choice. I guess he's decided that the gear he's found means that he wants that extra little bit of safety in the Temple of Fiends, but seems curious to do it before you've lit your last 2 orbs. As Davis goes for the run.
You know, after seeing that dragon armor +2, you're not going to see a lot of armor with pluses in this, and seeing that, I want a fighter.
Yeah, fair enough point. Dragon +2 and a Mazimmune. Shout out to Rubes in chat, calling out the Final Fantasy III Chocobo challenge, where you run around the world with Chocobo and get rewarded. I think that's dead on, Rubes. That's exactly what's going on here.
Well, the fighter having some interesting blursing, ability to cast black magic spells.
That is interesting.
No promotion spells, however.
Yeah, I'd say that makes it limited utility. You're going to be wanting to promote that fighter in order to take advantage of the late game gear.
And both runners finding fighters out here. Those are giving some pretty good XP.
Yeah, fighters in town, fighters in the field. This continent's just stacked with them.
So I wasn't paying attention to Davis's screen. I know that he did not light the air orb. I think that he must have wiped out of air. He noped out of the maze. Yeah, that makes sense. He did end up gaining a lot of levels going through there, and I would hate to waste it spending 15 minutes trying to solve that maze.
Okay, but he's going to have to do it eventually.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But eventually isn't right now.
True. So Caleb finishing the camping trip first, also having the air orblet. Oh, and we're seeing our next little bit of fun. So if you didn't know, now you know. It's possible to get up into that lake above waterfall. All you got to do is drop a save item on the waterfall tile. That is to say, when you, or no, you don't even have to do that. Just have to enter waterfall and come out of it, and then go up, and you'll walk past, well, canoe past the waterfall block and head up into that little source lake up there.
You know, if you're going to go on a journey to save the world, you might as well enjoy the sights. Caleb being rewarded with a TNT from the kind robot up in Waterfall.
Yeah, so now we do know the rest of the items. We know that the TNT will lead to the Oxyale, which will... Wait a second. We don't, because we still know what Sarda has. So we're still looking for the loot, the Oxyale, and the Mazimune, and Sarda or the dwarves will have the Oxyale, but we don't know which.
And the route's becoming synchronized and about to unsynchronize.
Yes. If you're wondering why Waterfall looks a little bit different, that's another optional feature of the randomizer. It's actually possible to enable procedural generation of the Waterfall cave so that each time you go in there, it's going to look a little bit different and kind of like the Sky Maze, but I would say less frustrating. You don't know exactly which direction you're going to have to head in when you go in there.
And feels bad the TNT, which the robot in Waterfall had, turns into the Oxyale.
Yeah, so a required double visit of the Onrak continent. You have to go up there to get the TNT first, come back, get the Oxyale, and then revisit to finish the Sea Shrine and to get your loot or potentially Mazimune if it's Sarda that's holding the loot.
As Caleb does a little bit of shopping, Davis making his way out of the Waterfall cave. We're about almost at the 120 mark. I would be remiss if I did not bring up that the Double Dragon League has started. If you would like to join in and do some tag team matches, take a look at the Discord, or you can talk to Caleb or Danny. If you don't have a partner, they can help you find one. Now, tag team matches are just a heck of a lot of fun. I would suggest it. 5 stars, would do it again.
Yeah, those ones, I think you need to be using the BizHawk emulator in order to participate in that. Am I right about that?
That's correct. You can find all of the information on our Discord, and if that still doesn't work, you can ask any one of a number of people, and they'll be able to walk you through with the setup that you need. Only takes a couple of minutes to set it up. It's just a new and interesting way to play. I need to find the person who made tag team possible and give them a firm handshake.
Yes, I want to make a coronavirus joke, but I don't know how to do it without going beyond the pale. But yeah, a good handshake for sure. Definitely owed to many of the people that work on things like this randomizer and the emulators. Oftentimes, just for the passion, you have to respect and appreciate the dedication that goes into the love that gets poured into these games, as DVS picks up the Oxyale at the dwarf, confirming that the Mazmune is in the Sea Shrine.
And Caleb, of course, being in Team Caleb with the one and only Ale Markin, who are the current champions.
Oh, Reese Wolf, our tracker, keeping me honest in pointing out that Mazza could still be at Sarda. Yes, I forgot that the loot is still out there.
And that's where I saw him. The Melmon did have ribbons -1 for sale.
Well, it's always nice to know that you're not crazy. DVS jumping into the sea, and well, we're going to see what the shrine item is, because even if DVS didn't want the Mazmune, which he would with a fighter, he needs the loot, so that has to get checked.
And Davis finding Grey Worms and Wraiths, another EXP gold mine. Hydras, maybe not so much.
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, talk about a race that's been neck and neck just about all the way through. Here we are with both runners entering the same shrine with all the same gear and almost the same party. I mean, it's just a coin toss at this point, isn't it, Dead Pulse?
I do not count either of these runners out, but Caleb does have that 1 orb lead.
Good point, because DVS did not finish the sky. Okay, so that's going to slow DVS down. Now, doesn't put him out of the race by any means, because we don't know what Topher's got, and we don't know which of those party compositions is going to end up being the better play. DVS is looking a little bit more defensive with that fighter and the dragon armor in place. However, Caleb has got extra black magic cast and the ability to run a little bit better, maybe ability to avoid a little bit more surprises. So certainly a good choice from a composition standpoint from Caleb as well.
Yeah, and even with the 1 orb lead, I mean, the only thing that Davis needs to do, go in, solve the maze, beat Warmac, beat Tiamat. He could probably do that 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that's about half the amount of time your typical Topher dive is going to take.
And it looks like our question was answered, that the Sea Shrine holds the Mazmune.
Yep. So, yeah, just like we were saying, you get the airship, and normally you check Sarda first. Neither runner did. And if they had, they could have potentially skipped this check, although you like having the Mazmune in any circumstances. Either way, both of these party compositions have someone who can definitely benefit by wielding it, and it's extra speed in killing late game bosses plus extra safety in case your main damage dealer gets knocked down. So it might end up being no difference.
I have spent the last minute trying to decide which one I like better, the Ruzabune or the Massa Ruse. I completely forgot that Caleb does have access to exit because Davis still hasn't promoted.
Yes, Davis also taking extra time to check chests in Mermaids. So that's the greater than or less than room, and also the mermaids, where there's something more that Davis wants.
Caleb now 1 floor away from having his 4th orb lit.
Yeah, and Davis heading out for the save first, it looks like. I have to say that it looks like the resets are paying off in terms of fewer encounters on Davis's side.
Fewer and better encounters.
Yep. Caleb takes down some EXP dragons before giving the Red Hydras a miss.
Gas dragons and weird fishies. Never thought I'd see them together.
Did that gas dragon just run away?
I wouldn't want to hang around with the Caribbees.
Yeah, good point.
We're about to see what Kraken is going to do to Caleb, or vice versa.
Yep, and DVS still checking chests. Even checking the Sharknado tile to see what enemies are there. So that says to me that DVS is looking for experience as well as gear.
Well, he found a 4-pack of mud goals. That's a good start.
Yeah, definitely. Be nice to have some iron goals in there too, but yeah, mud goals will take them.
And punching works against Kraken.
Yeah, once again, the Brack strat's not paying off for Caleb, but the fists of his mighty master getting the job done. As Reese Wolf points out in chat, it's clarbering time.
Now, Caleb doing getting rid of some cabins so that his heals are in the correct position. But he doesn't have the loot.
Yeah, does he know that? It looks like he's thinking. He's checking. You know what? He knew. He knew because of the way that his items were lined up in his inventory. That's how he knew. He said, wait a second, something's not where it's supposed to be. And now he's asking himself, what didn't I check? Is he going to remember that he didn't go to Sarda right after picking up the airship?
It seems like forever ago.
He's not flying in the right direction. He thinks he got bickied. Oh, he does not know.
No, Bicky promises that he won't be a bother anymore.
Oh no, he's going to check Corneria lock. So how much time is Caleb going to lose to this? I would say that Caleb, well, I mean, unquestionably is ahead. He's got all 4 orbs lit. All he's got to do is go into Temple of Fiends. But he doesn't know where the loot is. And Davis might remember. So it could be that Davis has a chance to catch up a little bit here.
This is nerve-wracking.
Now, what, to Caleb's detriment, but to our educational benefit, this is a good example of what you gotta do when you get in this situation, which happens more than you'd like to think that it would. I mean, it's pretty easy, especially in tile sets, in flag sets with a lot of locations. It's pretty easy to miss a check somewhere. And what you're seeing Caleb do is just go down the list. He's starting with the NPC checks because those ones are very fast. But inevitably, and there he is. He gets his. He's lucky that it was an NPC check that led to the loot, because what if it had been Incentive Volcano or something? How long would it have taken? But here we see he's only lost about 2 minutes max there.
You're right. That is a prime example of something that can easily happen to anybody, and the ability to retrace your steps and all of a sudden go, okay, I know where I screwed up.
Yeah, and in case you're wondering why it didn't say received loot at Sarda, that's because of fun percent randomizer flag called multi-instrumentalist Sarah. The idea is she's a virtuoso. She can play a lot of different instruments, and you never know which one of them you're going to find. So in this case, it was a jingle. Could have been a snare drum, could have been a grand piano, could have been any number of different things.
That does put me in the festive spirit.
Definitely. Jingle bells. Yeah, it's perfect for this time of year.
Well, while we were taking a little detour on Caleb's screen, Davis lighting his water orb and making a beeline for the air orb.
Yes, and it looks like Caleb just taking a minute to check inventory, burn up all his houses to get his items where he wants them to be.
Yeah, we're entering Temple of Fiends around the 1 hour 31 minute mark. Davis just one Topher wipe away from making this an even game.
Yeah, so are we going to see Gatekeeper Fiends? Well, with this flag set, max roll is 200%. So, I mean, it could happen, but Caleb's got pretty good levels, very good gear. So, I think the odds are in his favor.
I don't like that my black belt has only 385 health.
Yeah, that's a good point. Of course, that's where your backup Mazza wielder can put in some work. And I do believe they've got a nice solid life 7 spell at level 1. So as long as one of them can survive and we keep the white mages alive, should be able to squeak through.
Deciding to smack that T-Rex for 1,300.
Yeah, well, go big or go home, right? Looks like we've got a bit of a pause in DVS's stream here. Hopefully that'll come back.
Well, Lich starting off real nice with a mute 1.
Yeah, we don't normally worry too much about Lich 1 either way. Caleb is taking the time to fast and temper up, though, so just being careful, I guess.
Lich was so fun, he just wanted to fight him twice. We may be in for a treat if they're going to have to fight all of the fiends twice in a row.
Yeah, I think we might be looking at that, given all the other little extras that Caleb and DVS have treated us to so far. That sounds like the kind of thing they might do.
As if the flake set wasn't spicy enough, Caleb and Davis needed to outdo themselves.
Yeah, Rube's pointing out that DVS's stream is still running on his channel, and actually I can see that it has resumed on mine as well, or at least here on Randomania. So I think we're good to go.
Taking on Carry 2. Probably going to make some short work of that.
Yep, and we see him going back for a second helping, so I think we're going to see some fiend refights here.
So is there a real name for this? If you have to fight Carry 2 two times, it wouldn't be, Carry 2 squared, Carry 2 X2?
No, but I like where your head's at. Maybe we could do it by the number of Carry's arms that you defeat. So, you got your Carry 6 and your Carry 12, perhaps?
I'll take it. Yeah, nobody wants to fight Kraken 2 once, let alone twice. So this is gonna be something special.
Yes, Kraken 2, affectionately known as the real end boss of Final Fantasy Randomizer. Once you start playing around with the scaling, you can get situations where Kraken is hitting very hard indeed, with 10 hits multiplied by whatever the power of Carry is. That can be a pretty slap-happy Kraken.
Davis engaging with Warmech. And Warmech engaging with that black belt.
Yeah, giving us an early preview of what could happen in Topher later on. DVS, of course, has got his backup fighter, just trying to keep that safe with some extra ruse casts.
Caleb taking some time, getting a little more experience as he's going through here. I think he's gained 2 to 3 levels just in Topher.
Yeah, number of encounters plus taking all the fiends twice. You're going to see that happening even at higher levels.
And Davis about to light his 4th orb, while Caleb takes on Kraken 2, Part 1.
Yes, and Kraken showing us that this is not going to be your lich or carry fight. We've got some solid defense now, as well as hitting very hard. 2 hits back to the back, taking out the ninja, but we've got a low roll HP situation, and the fight's gone already.
That is what we call in the business a double tap.
Is it really a double tap when you've got 10 tentacles? I mean, I don't want to get philosophical on you, Dead Pulse, but just got to ask those questions.
That's going to keep me up all night.
Yep, well, Caleb coming back for the double tap of Kraken, and Kraken showing why you can't go to sleep on the fish. Just knocking all sorts of Light Warriors down. But fortunately for Caleb, he'd already done enough damage.
An egg period surviving this.
Yeah, one white mage surviving. That's clenching time.
And Davis looks like he's deciding to take some fights on the Bridge of Destiny, probably trying to get his black belt up to 32.
Yeah, almost certainly that's the case. For those who don't know, level 32 is the breakpoint, one of the breakpoints for the black belt to get extra hits. So it's a important milestone to hit in terms of how much damage you can do. I believe level 32 is the point where the black belt goes to 8 hits, and at level 42 they get 10.
And Tiamat casting a couple of spells here. And it looks like part 1 is done. Now back for the sequel.
I'm just waiting for them to get to chaos, exit out, and then take the whole temple again, because that's what they agreed to do.
I just love this. This is, two competitors. They are very good at what they do. They're good friends. They put together, these runs and have these little side agreements to just give the audience a little something extra. Like, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and we've already learned a lot so far on this particular run, and the run's not done. Caleb now is on the final floor with Chaos. Gonna do a little loop-de-loop. Dead Pulse, are you gonna treat us with a little call of the fight here?
Oh, I can definitely do that. If only we had to fight Chaos twice.
If only we could.
And we're moving a couple characters around. We're going to take this seriously. Getting all our buffs out of the way. Chaos opening with an ink. That's something you like to see. And we haven't seen a lot of spells. We saw Nuclear out of Warmech, but I didn't see anything else really deadly out of the Fiends.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't see a nuke yet. I don't believe we've seen Cure 4. So those are the big ones that we're mostly concerned about. But with the level of damage dealing that we've got, and with 4 Light Warriors up, yeah, no, it's the level of danger is somewhat limited.
And those temper charges are stacking. Everyone's getting walled. Chaos has now started to miss. Didn't miss the egg, though. And we're at about 1,700 damage done to Chaos so far, and it's only the 4th round. And another swing coming up. And Caleb, GG, is finishing out the match at an official time of 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 56 seconds. Let's get the GGs out in chat.
Absolutely GG's to Caleb. DVS, of course, not shying away from finishing the seed. It looks like we're going to get to see him do that as well, as he does some final shopping and setup and heads to Temple of Fiends.
Well, that was something. We took a world tour. We saw things that we never thought we were going to see. This was a nice run.
Yeah, and it's funny. These runners take a pretty difficult flag set, and with some unusual twists to it, add in a few weird little checks and extra fights of the fiends and so on, and still end up with a time that I'd be pretty happy with in a normal flag set at about an hour 40. Um, just goes to show the skill level. Um, when these runners put their minds to it, they can really put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, having all of these flags thrown in, add in the extra gentlemen's agreements, and this is a lot to handle. Davis finding out that no, he did not actually pick up the loot.
Yeah, and without Exeter Warp, he has to reset out to add insult to injury. So looks like he's headed straight for Sarda. So maybe he's been keeping track himself on a paper check, although he is checking Titans first. So I guess he'll be doing that and then going to Sarda next. But we're actually joined here in chat by Caleb. So Caleb, you finished in first place. GG's.
Thank you, thank you. That was a lot of fun. Very interesting seed. So big shout out to Mystic Lugia for putting together those flags. They were definitely atypical.
They certainly were, and we had a lot of fun watching the two of you run through. Now, of course, the big panic moment for you was the moment where you realized you didn't have the loot. And what was going through your mind once you figured that out?
I was like, I thought I had it. I in my head, I was like, I've got everything. I just need the Oxiel. Oxiel's coming from the waterfall, and the moss is going to be in mermaids. Like I felt it. Like I had assumed that I had the loot, and so when I was like sitting out there burning cabins and stuff to get my heal pots right, I was like, hey, wait a minute, there's something missing. I was like, crap. So I looked at my inventory and I was like, did I scuff Bicky? So let me go back and talk to Bicky. No. Let me look at my inventory. Okay, I got the crown. I could have swore I went and talked to Astos. We go do that. I was like, right. And I glanced at the flags and saw all the early stuff was off, which I lucked into with my routing, but I was like, I never went to Sarda. So luckily I put it together pretty quick that it was going to be a main NPC, but yeah, that was not a feel good moment.
Yeah, well, you certainly recovered quickly. The way that it looked to us watching was that you had just decided, okay, I'm just going to go down the NPC list, and then there, boom, you got to your loot pretty quickly. And it just goes to show, I mean, how you deal with panic. I mean, this has happened to me so many times, and most of the time, I just have to forfeit because I don't know where to look. Props to keeping you cool under fire there.
Thank you. Yeah. I've had my fair share of like dropping NPCs, so you start to do the quick mental check through your head and where I remember doing all the fetches, so it's like it can't be a fetch item because it would still be in my inventory. So then you go through the main NPCs and it's just like, I know I talked to Bicky and I know I did all this stuff, but let me just do it again. But yeah, and then it helps me like kind of refocus and like not panic and just like, where is it, just like, okay, let me go through the list and just let me look at the flags, like, okay, it was Sarda, because I know I didn't go to Sarda. Like when I started thinking about it, like as you remember routing through seeds and stuff, and oh, he took a knight. Interesting. I know Davis loves his ninjas. I'm surprised he switched.
Yeah, the difference in party selection happened at pretty much the same time, and it was one of the only differences that we saw. I mean, if you go ahead and you watch this VOD back, you'll see that the two of you took very, very similar paths through the seed, including a few detours that treated us to a few things that we haven't seen. I have to say, I've never seen that little dragon tail piece of land that you ran up on near the lake. Um, can you give us a run through? Can you be good to us here watching and let us know what were the things that you, because there were a few. I think I saw
Mhm.
refights of fiends. What all did you agree with DVS before this match?
Oh, the knight had all that magic. Okay. It was it was so initially in the race room we were like, oh, we knew the flags were going to be a lot of fun and they're going to be weird and different than what we're used to. So it's like, what do you want to do on top of this? Do you want to do like any gentleman's agreements? And I had the two fiend fights in my head because that's something that I saw Lord Fizzlebeef and Tarnin do during the spring tournament, and I thought it was just hilarious. And with these percents, it wasn't too intimidating until Kraken 2. But so that's what I had in my head. And he was like, let's save north of the waterfall. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, you know what, I'm feeling crazy. Let's do let's camp at Peninsula Power. And I was like, okay. And then I started getting in my head about all the weird places that you can camp. And the we talked a lot about ordeals and the little northern peninsula there and how we can route that in. And if we got it like post floater, we would have to walk out to the tip, walk all the way back to ordeals, and then go back to your airship west of the desert or east of the desert. And I went there without the canoe dock, so I just did the loop there around the little peninsula. And then the last one was the little dragon or scorpion tail up on the Onrak continent, which I didn't know you could walk to from Onrak basically. So we were in DMs and Discord, and I had just a giant map of the overworld, and I was looking at how I was going to walk to all these places, and then just sending him screenshots of where we should be parking and stuff. And but yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we knew that it was going to be especially challenging with the overworld encounter rate being 0.83. Just awful encounter table, except that huge run, which I had no idea where it was in the table, but when I hit it, it was so good.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we noticed. DVS seems to get that run more, so it was probably towards the beginning of the table. I just have to say, somebody in chat was shouting out that when you guys were doing those runs, that we were seeing the Final Fantasy III Chocobo Race Around the World challenge, and
Oh,
I thought that was a pretty good one. Any questions for Caleb from you, Dead Pulse?
Yes, what did you think about finding out the Cure 7 staff right away?
the early game for this couldn't have been better. Between Meteor 8, Cure 7, Life 7, I was like, I'm golden. Like, I have all the support I'll need. Like, granted, I'm only going to have 5 charges. Maybe I'll get good casting items to support that. And then, never, like, the White Mages being locked out of ribbons kind of stunk. And, like, the Wall 7 being single target, I knew that I was going to have a strategy going into Topher, and it was going to be utilizing that fast 8 hammer that I bought and the Temp 7 sword. Which were luckily AoE because Spellcrafter is real good. But yeah, we just jumped right in. Did he take a grind on his black belt?
He ran across the
Bridge of Destiny.
Bridge of Destiny. Thank you. I had
Okay.
a senior moment there.
Okay.
And he brought the black belt up to, I believe, 31, and then
Okay.
took it to 32 in Temple of Fiends.
Okay. Yeah, I knew with the black belt having 20% extra hit that it was going to get breakpoints faster. I don't know how much faster it gets them, but nice, he got through it. Yeah, that the second Kraken fight was scarier than the first one for me too.
Yeah, we saw that you were
This
down to
is-
your last egg.
Is this his third? Did he just take this 3 times?
I believe so.
Oh, he's stunting on me. I see you, Davis.
Changing the agreement to 3 times.
Yeah, it was definitely just twice. I did not cheat. I think Davis might have just lost count. I know he's a school teacher, and it's kind of hard to keep track of stuff like that sometimes. But counting to 3 or counting to 2 can be challenging.
So, Caleb, this was definitely a fun and interesting set of flags. But I have to ask,
Mhm.
how do you go about crafting flags for either Irongol or the delicious matches that you ping people to race on Discord?
Usually I take an existing flag set and just like tweak stuff, and then luckily now the randomizer website has a wonderful functionality that allows you to save presets. So I have like a whole myriad of different presets saved onto like my beta, saved onto my regular Final Fantasy randomizer site, and saved onto the stable 3-3 site, where I can just go in there and I click on um one of those presets and then just go from there. And I think everybody in the community, like once you've been around for a little while and like you're comfortable with the website and what all the flags do, you start like tunneling in on a certain type of flag set. And like I feel like I've seen a lot of Greggly Puff flags, so I feel like I can spot Greggly Puff flag set like a mile away. Like it's like these have a certain Greggly Puff like tinge to them, and not that it's a bad thing anyway. Like Greggly Puff's a really good flag designer, but it's just like an example. And I feel like I can recognize my own flags. Like if I make them, it's like, yeah, this is what I was gonna do. You know, like if I want it to be like more challenging, you turn the XP down a little bit, keep it at 5% per key item. If you want it to, if you're gonna scale up the other stuff, I'll usually ramp up the XP and like make it 10% per key item, so it's a little bit smoother of a growth. And these flags had 50% per orb, and I was like, well, with the static XP, I was like, I'm gonna have to get orbs lit early. And like as soon as I got the rod, I was like, I'm going all the way through Earth before I go to Crescent. And luckily that panned out, because at that point I didn't realize that early Sages was off. So worked out there. And then yeah, usually it's just like what am I in the mood for? Do I want to do shard hunt? If I'm going to do shard hunt, I'm going to turn on shard XP or orb XP. It shares a flag option. I do like playing with the forced classes and the blurst classes. So I'll typically just like hop in the Discord, jump in the casino, and roll a d4 for how many blessings I'm going to get and how many malices I'm going to get. And like this morning, Goats Pirate and I did a race, and I rolled for bonus malice in the race room and rolled one bonus for malice, and I was just like, nah, it's too early for this. We're going to swap those. We're going to do 4 bonus, 1 malice.
Yeah, that's a 3 cup of coffee kind of run.
Yeah, I was like, no, that's too much to keep track of. Like four malices can be fun. Like in this particular seed, it was interesting seeing how it all kind of balanced out, and nothing got really too hampered except that red mage, who already had like limited spell charges and lost 4 MP across every level. I was like, okay, so I'm pretty sure that red mage doesn't get any magic. So
yeah, that was pretty gross. Last thing I have, as Davis is taking on Chaos, Caleb, as both the co-commissioner and the current champion of the Double Dragon League, would you like to give a small pitch about that?
yeah, we can talk about that after Davis gets through this chaos fight for sure. If you guys want to call this, I don't want to pimp the Double Dragon while he's fighting chaos.
Fair enough. Well, as you can see, DVS has been spending some time buffing up his fighters with a number of temper stacks at this point, and also using those saber gauntlets, which effectively act as the power gauntlet from the vanilla game. Um, really being careful. These are going to be big swings. 862 damage, followed up by a very big, almost 2,000 from the Masters. So this is going to be a short fight. We've got about another 2,000 damage of HP heading Chaos's way right now, and it's enough. That's GG's. Get your GG's out for Davis in chat as he finishes off Chaos at the 1 hour and 58-minute mark.
GG.
Yeah, so Davis joining us here in the booth. Davis, we were just chatting with Caleb, of course. Yeah, he finished just before you did, and we were admiring this flag set. So many things to talk about, and we've been having a lot of fun with it. But the first question on the top of my mind, Davis, and I called one of your matches recently, and I've got the same question for you again. We saw you checking boxes at greater than or less than rum when it looked like you already had all the gear that you could have wanted, and we were wondering what was it that you were looking for.
At that moment, a ribbon. I hadn't I got the ruby early, but never checked Titans, so I didn't have a ribbon up at that point. I don't remember if I had the wall thing. With I think Irongol's kind of gotten me into a weird habit. I think because we're usually up at the 300 something clamps, and for a flag set that was 50 to 150 for boss scaling, it's one of those no, you don't have to be so careful. So even the grind that I took and the boxes that I opened way too much. I grinded way too high, and so I was expecting Krakens to one-shot a rused fighter that's fully equipped, which is what I'm used to, and I got a baby little Kraken that went down in one swing. So I think for me, it's a lot of the scaling thing, and I'm just really not used to it.
Yeah, well, fair enough. And it does have to be said, that Kraken 2 was dangerous. Caleb, if you go back and you watch the VOD, was down to just one white mage on the second fight. I mean, it was that close. And I think it was a fade shot for 111 damage that saved his bacon.
Yeah.
So that was the difference between winning and, well, maybe he would have still won if he had run it the second time, but it's hard to say. So, I mean, yeah, it may have looked like a little bit of over preparation, but it could be a style difference as well. And we also noticed that you chose to go with a fighter instead of Caleb's ninja. What made you go with the fighter in that case?
Well, first of all, I forgot that the Black Mage Master scaling was different. So I delayed promoting for a while because I forgot that flag was on. So, at that point, it was I have a thief that can cast 2 level 1 spells, and I'm not planning on promoting him until after I level up the black belt. And then it was, I saw a fighter, I was like, let's just take a look at it. And the fact that it was a thief black mage with fighter armor and weapons was like, oh yeah, this guy's OP. So I just kept him in the party.
Nice. I didn't find the fighter. I was happy with the thief.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with it too. I mean, the fact that I wrote down in my notes definitely needed a thief for these. But yeah, the fighter ended up being basically a thief, a fighter, and a black mage all mixed in one. So
yeah. I saw the spell charges on your side. Yeah, I was like, holy crap, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I didn't pick it and again, I didn't promote until super late, and he was an on-rack, so I didn't pick him up till late. So it's not like I even got to check any of the black magic shops to find out what was in there. But Caleb, what level were you at when you doped over?
Mid 20s, mid to high 20s, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, across the board. I knew I was just going to keep the thief because I wanted the run chance with the high encounter rate, and I knew the Masa was incentive, so I was like, I'm just going to get the Masa. That thief, even with its little strength, is going to be crushing it with a Masa. And then Masa was +3, and I was like, yeah, we're good here.
Yeah.
But I promoted as soon as I got in the air because I did a lot of tavern mode with Dangwu last year, and so I went and promoted, and then I immediately went back to Elfland and rebought the black belt, so it would get the better MDef as if it were a master the whole time. So that's where I felt that was always going to be my strategy going in with the was to find the black belt shop, and I stopped checking taverns really after that.
Yeah,
I also had.
Go ahead, DVS.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think the like other than over prepping, because I dove Topher, like I did a mini grind on the Bridge of Destiny, and then I did a grind inside of Sky. Basically, part of the reason I walked around and checked boxes was because I didn't feel that, like, I knew I didn't have the levels for War Mech, and I was afraid of being ready for carry, so I wanted to get a couple extra levels, and checking the boxes was kind of like, because I had white in my first run up Sky, and I didn't want to repeat, so I was kind of like, since I had just been like destroyed on the third floor, I was worried about, you know, where my levels were. So I used opening boxes and the fact that there's an encounter every 5 steps to do a walking grind at really the highest level dungeon we had available. And then when I got to Topher and was leveling up, like I think I gained from levels like 29 to 35 on the way to Fear or something like that. It was crazy. So
nice. I took my grind walking to the little dragon scorpion tail on the honor icon, and there's like fighters and double red giants. I was like, all right, yeah, I'll take these guys.
Yeah, that was a good one. Though the walk from the tip above Ordeals to Ordeals was horrible. It was like
ensembles and airs and unrunnable rank lows, which were susceptible to my Cry 8 stick, so that was cool.
Yeah, I didn't pick up that one.
I bought like
that was the other.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that was the other thing. Like for checking boxes, I want to say 6 or 7 saber bonks. I had a bunch of Cure 7 sticks, Ruse 5, Ruse 3, Fog 3, Stop 5, Stop 7, but nothing that was like really offensively powerful for the white mages.
My white mages were spamming Meteor 6 and Lit 6, or Meteor 8 and Lit 6. That was their...
Yeah.
I bought Time 5, but it wasn't really doing anything. I always want to get excited about the Time sweepers because they, like, nothing resists it. But the damage is never good. It's never good. It's like 95. I'm like, bro. Just go back.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah, these were a lot of fun. We're going to have to do it again and keep the rivalry going.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. I went into this and I was like, this is too close to like ST scaling, and it's vanilla entrances, no floor shuffles.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do well on these flags.
We got to get you ready for a spring tournament, man. We can start racing sort of like those spring tournament style flags.
I know. But I love the hard stuff with the floors and the shuffling and the scales. And... Yeah, I really like spring tournament style flags. Like typical race flags are probably my weakest flags. So one of these days I'll have to invest in training that because.
Well, speaking of, we do of course have the Duckling tournament, the Duckling Derby coming up. Just as the month turns over, and then we'll have the spring tournament coming after that. But right now we do have that Double Dragon tournament. And Caleb, were you going to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Double Dragon, we just kicked it off on Friday last week, and Ale and I were lucky enough to take down the belt for the first time. So Team Kale Pipe. But we've got a handful of teams in there. We're not limited at any sort of amount of teams. So if you are out there and you want to race co-op, find a buddy, let Danny or I know. Like Danny's my wonderful co-commissioner. We'll get it scheduled for broadcast. I know Gregley Puff and Dangwoo, Teamwork is for Dummies, is getting ready to take on the Trash Island treasure hunting unit once they nail down the details. And to put it in perspective, like what is possible with Irongol, they're racing the vanilla game co-op, like the vanilla-ish where we turn on the speed hacks, we make the XP a little bit sweeter, and it's just the vanilla game. And they're racing that co-op, and it's just like, that's really fascinating because you can go off and do orbs like while your partner's grinding, and it's just like, I think they're doing first to beat chaos too, so it doesn't have to be what you're used to seeing with co-op, or the floor and shuffle shard hunt, or oops all loose with black belts banned. It can be whatever you want it to be, and I think it's gonna be really fun when we start seeing co-op with black belts, because it's just like gonna be ridiculous, because black belts are really, really good in co-op. But yeah, so co-op styled after the 2019 spring or co-op tournament, which was put together by Falconic after Meridian developed the Lua script that actually enables our BizHawks to share key items with each other, which is something unique to Final Fantasy Randomizer, and that when we do co-op, it's more than just sitting in a voice chat sharing information, because you're sharing key items, you're sharing orb lighting, and so like if your XP is set to like 10% per key item and your partner's running around collecting items and you're sitting on a grind, every time you get a key item from them, that XP is just going up and up and up and up. So you can really kind of take advantage and just and especially like in a situation where it's just first one across the line wins, you have your dedicated like sweeper exploration team with your thieves and your white mages for exits and warps and running, and you have your other like your killer team like with your fighter or your black belt, depending on what it is, and your explorer just lets them know like where all the gear is, so once they finish their grind they can just pop out, walk into a certain dungeon, walk to the exact box and get that loose massa or whatever. But Double Dragon, go ahead.
I was just saying, or you could be like me and my teammate who are prepping something completely different that I'm not sure has been seen. So CLPP, be looking for our challenge in a little bit. I'm super excited about what we're putting together. So
and there you go.
Hopefully they accept.
Well, and that's the thing. So it's co-op and it's Irongol, but it's Double Dragon. So it's a little bit of both worlds, where Irongol, you challenge people, you move up the rankings to get a shot at the title, to get to that number one contender spot, and it's just like that. So you put together what you wanna race, and then you challenge a team. If they accept your challenge, it's on like Donkey Kong, and we'll try to get it restreamed if we can, and it'll be a lot of fun. We've seen in the past, it wasn't co-op, but it was Irongol. I think it was. I'm gonna blank on who the racers were, and I apologize for it, but I think it was Zenobian and maybe Spellzap. They were racing FFR and Mega Man 2 Randomizer at the same time. Like every time they got a key item or they lit an orb or something, they had to pop out and go beat a robot master level in Mega Man 2 Randomizer. And it was Gouda, the Irongol commissioner, doing commentary with Charlie Boy from the MM2R community. And so it's a nice crossover. So anything's possible. Just, put it together, have some fun, and Danny and I will do all the stuff on the back end for you. So, and if you have questions, let Danny or I know. If you're shy and you're having trouble finding a partner, ping me on Discord. I'll poke around. I'll get one of these vets to come out and join you on a team and get you guys going. We have a lot of veteran runners, platypus runners, older ducks that are itching to race more and more, and that need partners. Like Rock Solid, he needs a partner.
Calling me out. Well, Caleb, we really appreciate you setting up stuff like that tournament, and also just jumping in and challenging us at all hours of the day and night. Why not? Well, DVS, any final thoughts from you before we send it to Deadpulse for a wrap up here?
No, I mean, Caleb and I have kind of taken over the whole Irongol thing, and I look forward to our next challenge, which you're putting that together, right? This is a Caleb set?
Well, no, I threw out the idea of a counter co-op. which is another way to
Right.
play co-op, where you're on a Lewis
Right.
script, you're sharing key items, but you're working against each other. You're not talking to each other. You're just getting key items from your opponent and just wondering where they got it. And you're like, oh, Davis just sent me the canoe. Oh no, Davis is way ahead of me. And then you open 4 boxes later and you get your canoe and you're like, oh no, I'm behind Davis. I gotta get out of here. So
Or you open up a box and get a key item and go, oh no, I didn't want them to get that.
and
So
then mash reset
pretty
right
cool.
away.
It's
Um,
cool.
But yeah, I threw out before the race started that our next one should be a counter co-op. I don't care what the flags are, man. You put those together. I just
I'll
suggested
put the
that.
flags together. I'll put the flags together, and we'll do the counter co-op. Because that sounds like
All right, we'll probably do this like
Oh,
sometime
and-
next week or something.
probably once on the week thing.
Good.
But there is also the double anti bingo tournament, winter
Yeah.
dab tournament that's coming up after the Duck Derby. So it's after the Duck Derby, before ST, which is going to be fun. They're like that kind of just got announced this morning, I think.
Is it possible to do
Oh, gosh.
counter co-op double anti bingo?
Absolutely, if you do double anti bingo. This is going to be amazing. You're gonna want to catch this next run.
Yeah,
It'll have everything.
the Tuesday race with Davis continues.
Yep,
probably
it's coming
next
up. It's coming up. We've got our own slot these days.
week.
Well, I
folks,
hope you can
You heard it
outdo.
here first, but counter co-op double anti-bingo may be a thing. Dead Pulse, take us away.
Caleb, Davis, it is always a pleasure. You two are great racers, and this was the most fun that I've had watching a race in a very long time. So thank you for that. Special shout out to Rock Solid, my co-commentator. We had a lot of fun tonight. Also shout out to Reese and Jay Scheidel for working behind the scenes, as well as all the people at Randomania. And all of you, Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer Maniacs. We have a race scheduled for Thursday, but I don't believe it's going to be restreamed. But if you join us on the Discord, you can take a look at some of the announcements that we have for the next couple of months. It's going to be a good couple of months, lots of good races, and it's a real exciting time to be part of the Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer community.
It certainly is. And with that, we'll say goodbye and adieu. Thanks for joining us on this Irongol race on Tuesday, December the 22nd. Have yourself a good time. Keep your head up and don't forget to go fast.